Enemy MOAB incoming.
Hey guys and girls, how you all doing? It's Kirsty, or FFTK, here as usual with another gameplay commentary, and I'm here today with a player called Mega Lamb Chops. Lamb. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I am quite a fan of lamb chops, I must admit. So let's actually get on to this. Like I said, this actually isn't my gameplay. This is actually Mega Lamb Chops gameplay, and I'll just tell you a little bit about him and this gameplay before I actually get onto the topic. He's actually a reasonably new YouTuber from Brisbane, Australia. He's a high school student, so he's probably going to have a bit in common with a lot of you guys at home. And he does gameplay commentaries. He's quite amusing, and I definitely appreciate you checking out his channel, and I'm sure he would too. This is 100+ assault gameplay on the map Underground, with of course the ACR with extended mags and silencer, which is probably the best class to use if you're trying to go for your first 100+ gameplay. I think this is actually Mega Lamb Chop's first 100+ gameplay, so he was quite excited about this, and rightfully so. Not everyone has got 100+ gameplay in Modern Warfare 3 yet. It is surprisingly difficult compared to previous versions of COD, and I'm not exactly sure why. Well, I think part of it is shooting air support down actually adds towards your kill streak, which actually hasn't happened in the past, so it was far more likely that you would have lazy enemies who, you know, they're not going to shoot something down if there's nothing in it for them, especially when they have perks, like Ghost Pro around, like we had in Black Ops. People just didn't have the motivation to get rid of things. So you don't find that your air support is going to go quite as ham as what it used to in past CODs, especially compared to Modern Warfare 2, as you would have noticed some of the kill streaks have actually lost a little bit of power. Like for example the good old AC-130, which is essentially pretty useless now, but I think a large part of that would just be because of the constant clutter on all of these maps. So anyway guys, what I wanted to talk to you about today was I wanted to talk to you smaller YouTubers just about growing your YouTube channel. I've actually spoken about this in the past, and I'll leave part 1 as an annotation also, or actually as a video response, just so that you guys can go and check that out, especially you guys that are really new to YouTube, this is pretty much who I'm talking about, the guys who have either just started a channel, thinking about starting a channel in future, or you've got a small amount of subs, 100, 200 or so, and you're just not quite growing the way that you want to be growing. What we spoke about in the last part was we spoke about your expectations, just with getting on YouTube and where this is actually going to take you, and we mainly spoke about your actual physical setup in terms of making videos, computers, PVRs, and all of that quality sort of stuff. So definitely go and check that out if you're really new to YouTube, because it would be really useful for some of you guys. So now let's get on to a little bit more stuff. One thing that I think people often forget is actually the look of your channel. Appearance is very important. So if you don't have a background, a logo, or things like that, then you might really want to consider getting one. There are a lot of people on YouTube who will do this sort of graphics work for free, so just type in free GFX into the YouTube search, and then you will often come up with people who do these things for either a small price or sometimes just as much as a sub. And you will be able to find a lot of these people if you actually look. You've got to try and think quite professional when you're actually setting up your channel, so you want quite a professional look about it. Because if a new person comes to your channel and you don't have a background or you don't have a logo, well, they're just not going to be as convinced as what they are when they're looking at, say, a Machinima or a Yaush Partners channel, who have these gorgeous backgrounds and all these extra partner features. Because when you're not partnered and you're very small, it is very difficult to compete these days, just because there are so many YouTube channels. So you pretty much need every little edge that you can get. So think about this very sort of professionally. That's the best way I can say it. You want everything to look good. Think of this as your business, your brand name. And talking about brand names, you need to really think of the actual name of your channel or your username. So make it something that isn't exactly limiting. That's something that I've found really important. Like if you're into games, don't make it something like Advanced UAV that is not necessarily going to be in the next COD game. You know, or don't make it best Modern Warfare 3 videos, because, well, what happens when it comes to Black Ops? You know what I mean? So try and not box yourself into something that is not going to really work for long term. You want something that is going to work for, say, many games in future, if, you know, COD doesn't really work for you, or even the next COD in the series. And if you've got a username that's really difficult to remember, or anything like that, you might want to actually consider even changing that if you've got a really small channel, you've only got a few subs, you haven't really gone anywhere with it, you might actually want to just start again and start afresh, because it might be easier to try and make sure that all these things are followed. Just because it is very important, once people do sort of know your name, if they've had a bad experience at your channel, don't expect them to come back, because they generally won't. You've generally got one chance to impress each person, and if you can't do that, well, don't expect that person to come back for a while. It is very competitive, like I've said, so I think one of the things that's really important that most people don't get is that you need to stand out. There's so many people around doing the exact same thing. They're very similar people, high school students, talk about the same things, and it is very difficult to sort of be unique when so many things have been done before. But if you can't be exactly unique, you need to find something that has been done and then make it yours. You want to really make... Sorry guys. You have to really make everything yours on YouTube. Try and be as unique as possible. Play to your own personal strengths. Like for example, in my case, I do have it a little bit easier than a lot of you guys because of course I am female and I can actually play the game, which does actually set me apart from probably 90% of other girls on YouTube. So I do try and play to that because that is uniquely me. And you guys need to find your own little thing that's you. Because you'll notice the few YouTubers that have sort of become successful, mainly through Modern Warfare 3, have something about them that is uniquely them. For example, m.o.a.b. He's the young boy of this sort of community. Everyone knows him as, you know, young little m.o.a.b. and that's his thing, and good on him. And, you know, he's also the kid that, you know, is sort of trolled by so many of the older guys, but he's making that work for him. He knows that this is where a lot of his views and such are coming from, and I say good on him. He's just capitalized on something very unique and made a brand name for himself. The other person I'll use as an example is J Nasty. Everyone does associate J Nasty with a little bit of rage, which we all really feel in this game, so we all relate to him, and it's unique, it's entertaining. So try and think like that, because it is very difficult to be original. So be you, be unique, because every person is different. Alright, let's get on to a little bit more physical stuff. I noticed that a lot of you guys don't really put as much effort into your titles and descriptions as what you could. It is very difficult to be found in the YouTube searches if, you know, your video just says, I don't know, 20 kill team deathmatch. You want to try and be as specific and unique as what you can. Try and draw people to your video. Because think about it, what are you going to look at? Are you going to look at the guy that's just written Modern Warfare 3 MOAB? Or are you going to click on the video that says epic 79 second MOAB? Well, I don't know about you guys, but I think I'd be going for the epic 79 second MOAB. So try and find stuff about your video and really capitalize on those things that are great about your video. But don't lie, because people will be straight onto that, because no one likes mistitled videos and your video will be covered in dislikes. And another thing, I'll give you a little bit of info on what have sort of been my best videos personally. And my videos that have sort of been the highest performers for me, I'll tell you honestly, was my first ever video, which is entitled Who Said Girls Can't Get MOABs? And that's because it has the word girl in it. I actually changed the title of that video after probably a month of it being on YouTube, and it literally exploded just by having the word girl in the title. Another example is things that have done really well for me is my fastest blah blah blah, my fastest TDM MOAB, for example, because it's got the word fastest. People love these keywords, and the way you can find these keywords is by typing into the YouTube search, type something similar to your video and see what the suggestions are that come up underneath. And this will actually tell you the most used keywords that are similar to your video. So try and put as many of them in as what you can. And don't be afraid to be too descriptive. I notice a lot of people are really afraid to be really descriptive, but especially when you're first starting on YouTube, you want to have as much descriptive stuff in that description as you can, because you'll be surprised how many videos will end up in search results and how often your videos will be in those search results just based on the descriptive things that are in your description. It is very difficult though, I must admit, and you guys will get a bit more experience as time goes on. And I will just tell you guys now, another thing that's really important is try and post quite regularly, and at the same time, if you post as regularly as you can, so every day or every 2 days, you will grow. Because having your name come up in the search results and all that on a daily basis just gets your name out there so much more. Anyway guys, this video is going to be wrapping up very shortly, but I do have a lot more info to cover in the next part, which will mainly be about networking and social media, things like that are going to be so useful for the growth of your channel, and I will explain how in the next episode. And also in the next episode, I have a brand new initiative to introduce to you smaller YouTubers. It's actually a small network that I'm starting out that'll have a website and a forum that will actually enable you smaller YouTubers to be able to connect with each other and find people to network with. Anyway guys, that's all for now. Peace out.
We transform garbage into art.